This semester, I was really fortunate to have a great internship with Jeff Hollifield in Princeton. And during the internship, we did mostly auditing, tax returns, and compilations, reviews, and other audit work. Oh, and client write-ups. In auditing, compilations we worked on, we were compiling financial statements from a company's adjusted trial balance. We also did reviews, which is reviewing those compiled statements for accuracy. And we did agreed upon procedures, which are specific procedures. Most recently, we did a revenue test for the Supreme Court of West Virginia. That was a specific need. And we also worked on audits. I did significance testing and random payroll pools. Since it was tax season, we did a bunch of tax returns. Most of them were individual returns, 1040s. We did some partnership returns. It was really interesting to see how our clients that we do write-up work for, it was neat to see the flow from their books on through their tax return. That was really educational to see that. We did some S corporation returns and state returns other than West Virginia, mostly Virginia and North Carolina. It was kind of interesting to see the difference in the forms and then also how all of them were alike, just to get to know those. The write-up service that is offered there includes a payroll service, inputting revenue and expenses. Clients bring their check stubs and their bank statements either monthly or quarterly, and that helps us determine their revenue and their expenses when we input those. Assets and their depreciation, financial statements, bank account reconciliation, sales and use tax, and local business and occupancy tax are all part of a kind of inclusive financial service that's offered as a package. Breaking that down, the payroll service, most businesses do their payroll either each week or every other week, and they'll send in or fax in their time cards, and then we'll either write their checks or give them the amounts, and they'll write their checks from the amounts we give them. We do monthly payroll tax deposits for both federal and state. We run the reports and then prepare the forms, and then they can send in the correct amounts. Quarterly payroll tax forms, that reconciles the monthly stuff to the quarterly, and then state and federal unemployment are quarterly forms. They don't do them monthly. Annually, all of that rolls into the W-2s, W-3, 1099s, and 1096s for contractors. And West Virginia has an annual reconciliation that reconciles all the quarterly amounts to the year. As far as inputting income and expenses per client, we need to do sales or service revenue, recognize that, and then also if there's other monies coming in, like loans or contributions, that needs to be accounted for. As far as cash going out is concerned, there's business expenses, and then there also may be personal draws or even loans to other businesses. Making sure that clients provide enough documentation for this is very important so that we're not just guessing. Each month or each quarter, depending on how often we do the process for a client, there will be revenue adjustments. We'll make new notes payable or new notes receivable if that's happened within that time, and note or make adjustments for contributions or drawing of capital. Also, if they do run payroll, which most of them do, there has to be adjustments for the payroll liability for that period. Problem solving. Sometimes we have a client that might have multiple businesses, but because they may have a business that has less cash flow and one that has more at any given time, there may be cash going between them. Keeping that straight can be really tricky and means that you have to keep calling them if there's a questionable transaction and saying, you know, which business was this in relation to? Otherwise, their financials are going to be not accurate. Even if they were all business expenses, they need to go to the right one. Determining origins of cash, flowing in and out without much information, like I was saying a minute ago, turns into just phone calls and faxes back and forth. Actually, faxes, I realized, are really a good way to do it because then there's a paper trail and everything is, you can look back and have a record rather than phone calls. We do a lot of faxes and emails. Receiving documents after filing tax returns. We filed a lot of tax returns, and a very small number of those people received stuff in the mail afterwards, and so things have to be changed. You have to go back and make sure that everything's right after they bring in another paper that usually they just received in the mail. It wasn't their fault. And agreed upon procedures. At the last minute, you may have another entity that's looking at a business and saying, we need to know this because we have a question. We need to know it by Friday. And we're thinking, oh man, we have a lot to do between now and Friday, but we'll get it done somehow. And it's a little bit of pressure, but usually we could get it done in a timely manner. So that was good, but it was still a challenge. Relevance to course material. Auditing was, the class I took here of auditing was relevant to all of auditing. But what I was doing, which was significance testing and random pulls, it was totally relevant to that, and I was really glad to have the background, even though it was just one class. It helped a great deal. Intermediate accounting, I took 1 and 2 here. I haven't taken 3 yet. It was relevant to pretty much everything, but adjusting journal entries would have been impossible without having a good understanding of debits and credits. So that was maybe the most important classes. Government and not-for-profit. Our audits are municipal stuff and nonprofit. Well, not stuff, but entities. And having government and not-for-profit class here helped me understand how the money flows through from the federal or state on down through grants to these nonprofits or to municipal entities. And something that I thought was really noteworthy, even though it's not none of these classes are all that important in the whole scheme of things. I would have thought that software classes were down on the bottom of the totem pole. I realized I was wrong because not only are the software classes that we take important on the job, but helping clients with their own software seems to be so important to them. If they have management software or something like that they're learning, that I realized it's really huge and it's something to really learn and pay attention to. So I thought I would include that. And that's all. Any questions?
Any questions from Natasha? Is Jeff hinting at the need for another intern by chance?
I would think that the thing to do with any business that you're interested in working for is to send them a resume and ask them just to put it in their file. And I think that would be a good idea here too. Just if you want to be put in the file, I think then you're on the top of the list, so to speak. And yeah, I think he's probably open to more interns. He's had a good experience with Concord students working in his office. So that's, Christy Hatfield works there too. And
Didn't know that.
I came because they thought she was leaving. And now we're both there and we're both busy, so maybe he needs another.
Yeah. Any questions? Natasha is our accounting student of the year